Well, hi there, everybody. I know this doesn't look like we're talking about quilts. We will do that a little bit later, but I just wanted to show you what I have been doing this weekend. I had an abundance of apples. And, you know, I'm not a wasteful person, and I wanted to do something with them, and I thought, what you haven't done this in a long time, let's make some applesauce. Well, I love homemade applesauce. The applesauce you buy in the stores is so tasteless and frankly not worth buying. But I'm going to show you how I did this so simple. I know some of you probably do it already, but I just wanted to share with you because it turned out so good. I had a 5-pound bag of apples. I think it was 5 pounds, one of those little bags. And the apples weren't huge. They were about that size, about a medium. And I peeled all of those apples, and then I chopped them big chunks. I didn't make real tiny pieces, but you know, pieces about that big. And I filled my pan about 3/4 full with apples. And then I covered them with water. Made sure they were all covered, and I had plenty of water in there because you don't want to cook them dry. You want to keep that liquid in there. And if you're lucky enough, you will have some apple juice to drink later. I've got it stirred up because my cinnamon keeps going to the bottom. You will never have applesauce as good as this. And you need that liquid when you're processing your apples. Okay. I cooked them. First, I took the juice of a lemon. This is my mother's. Look at that thing. Old, but it works, still works. And I just cut the lime or lemon, whichever you prefer, cut it in half and squeezed it out over the apples. Whatever juice you get is okay, unless it's just extremely dry, and then use two limes or 2 lemons. But 1 lemon is sufficient. And the reason you do that, it adds a sparkle to your taste of the apples. It just brings out the flavor of the apples, and it will keep your apples from turning dark. This this is all I put in at first, is the lime juice, lemon juice, the apples, and water. And I cooked it for maybe, I don't know, slow cook, slow boil, 20 minutes. And then I put in a teaspoon, not quite a teaspoon, probably a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And about a tablespoon of honey. That's all the sugar that this has. It's just the natural sugar from the apples and a little bit of honey. This would be so good for little babies. Make it applesauce for your precious child. Then I cooked them longer, maybe 20 more minutes. I almost cook the apples to mush. I want them really, really done and soft. And so when you can stick a fork in there and they just, go straight through, they're done. And then I'd set it aside and let it cool just a minute. And I put a lid on them to cook them for that last 20 minutes. And altogether, I probably cooked them about an hour, really. And like I say, don't boil them dry. Don't cook it so hard that your water evaporates and you don't have any, because you need that to process it. Okay, then this little precious jewel was my mother's. And this thing is over 50 years old and works like a charm. And it's a GE, General Electric food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can use a blender. Same thing will work. And she won this, some kind of contest, I don't know, I don't remember, but she won it. She was so excited. And she's gone now, of course, so it's mine. And I've used it for probably 15, 20 years. So it's still trucking on. You know, they don't make them like they used to. That's what I say about us. They don't make us like they used to. Okay. Now, when you, I put out some tea cloths, dish towels, because this gets a little messy, but I bring my pan over and I try to find me a ladle. That's the easiest thing. And then I just put about 2 cups. I don't measure or anything, but just about right there. And I do them in batches. So I put my apples in there and I make sure I have, I've never measured the liquid, but just make sure you have some liquid in there. You don't want just apples, you want some of your juice. Because like I say, it won't you know, be spreadable, or it won't have any body to it. It'll just be a clump of apples. So I put my liquid in, I put my apples in, and put the lid over it, of course, and turn it on for a good 6, 7, 8 seconds. I pulverize them is what I do. And then take this out and take my apples over to my jar and put it in, fill up my jar. I don't use a water bath or anything like that. I'm not canning these. So this is strictly for the refrigerator or for the freezer. It's not to sit out on a shelf. That won't work. But I noticed that the heat, when you do this, the heat of the apples, even if you don't preheat these, it's sealed, this jar. But I wouldn't trust it out. You know, it's still going to go in the freezer. And I like to put mine in smaller portions and then this, so I can just go to the freezer and take one out and thaw it overnight and have it for breakfast. But I've run out of containers because this is about my 3rd or 4th batch of applesauce. And I've used all my, I like the little tiny jelly jars. They're just perfect for this. But this is all I had left, and so this is what I put it in. And put it in the freezer, and you've got a treat for now on, whenever you want it. This goes real good with ham or pork. You could serve it for supper with ham or pork. It works for breakfast. Like I say, it'd be wonderful for little babies. Your little children will love it. They don't know what they're missing because, like I say, applesauce in the store isn't just not applesauce. It's just, I don't know what it is. You don't know what you're eating. And then my juice, it's going to just go in the refrigerator and I'll have it. But my cinnamon is settling to the bottom, and so I keep stirring it. But if you could just taste that. Oh, it's so good. Just so good. So, I just want to show you what I've been doing this weekend, and I want to encourage you. Make you some applesauce. You know, there's so many things that we can do for ourselves that cost little. Maybe you have a friend that has an apple tree and they go to waste every year. Go ask them for those apples. Go to the grocery store when the apples are, you know, they throw away a lot of that stuff, or they take them to a food bank or somewhere. There's places you can get apples, I'm sure. But apples are relatively inexpensive. There was a time that I almost paid $1 and something for a darn apple, but they're better now. They're not near that expensive. So that's what I've been doing. Now, you know, I'm kind of changing my brand on my channel, and I'm going to have more things like this. I'm not going to do just quilting and sewing, but because our home is our safe haven and our refuge, and there's lots of different components to making it a home. Lots of different crafts, lots of different things to do to make it your own. This is a rent home. I rent, but I have made it my home. My landlord comes in and says to me, "Oh, thank you for treating this like your home." And I do. I told him, I said, "I've got the ugliest yard on the block. How about we do something?" There was no trees, no flowers, no nothing. And he planted me 2 trees, and I had put in all of the flowers. I know they will be there when I'm long gone, but that's okay. I want to enjoy them, and I want my home to reflect who I am, even though it's not my home, okay? Now let's go over to the table. I know you're tired of hearing about the paper piece baby quilt, but the little toot, my great-grandchild that this is for, arrived 2 weeks early, and I don't have the thing done, and I'm quilting it. And the fastest thing I could come up with is just stitching the ditch, because I've got to get this in the mail, hopefully by next Monday, which gives me a week. I've got half of the blocks quilted, and then I've got to do 3 more rows and all of the border. So I'm going to show you how I'm coming along on that. And next time, I think I'm going to make we'll make some morning glory muffins. That's the cutest story about how morning glory muffins were created. And it's an honest, true story. The women in the South, United States, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, all your southern states, they pride themselves in what you bring to funeral dinners. I think this is so funny. But it's a badge of honor to bring the best dish at the funeral dinners. And morning glory muffins came about. That somebody made them to take the morning of the funeral to the family. And that sparked a lot of controversy because you didn't do that, but this lady did. And anyway, she started a new trend, and so now people bring coffee cakes and different things to the home on the day of the funeral. So morning glory muffins may be next, and they are so delicious and nutritious, so good for you. Dump it all in a pan and bake them. I don't bake anything that's hard to do anymore. I don't do anything that's hard to do anymore. So maybe that'll be next time. All right, let's move on over and look at the... Okay, what I wanted to emphasize to you is when you're quilting in the ditch and some of your stitching shows, you didn't, just get it just perfect. Don't worry about that. That means nothing, because once this is washed, it's going to shrink up, and your stitches will not be shown at all. But that's what I'm just doing. I'm just going in each seam down and doing my quilting in the ditch. I'm doing each block at a time, And I started in the middle of the quilt. I've got 3 rows done and need 3 more. And I will have it finished. Like I say, it's the fastest way to do a quilt. And one, especially this, that's got so many angles and turns and everything, that works really, really good for stitching in the ditch. And this will all be stitched here, and then I will go up here and stitch all of this line up here, and then I will do the borders. And I want to emphasize to you, when you're doing, if you will note, these are on the bias, and they're quite stretchy. Don't stretch your border when you're sewing in the ditch. Don't move your fabric. Don't try to straighten it or anything. Just stitch, because this will stretch so bad if you don't. And then once I get that done, I'm ready for the binding. And the binding is the easiest thing for me. Really, I enjoy the binding a lot. Now, I have these colors of all the 5 different colors on the back that's in this border. That's my back. It's kind of wild, huh? It's 5 different colors. This is not your typical little baby quilt, that's for sure, color-wise. But this child, I got a picture of her, and she's very dark complected, and I think she's just going to look beautiful on this quilt. I think she's going to complement this quilt, and this quilt is going to complement her. So that I have been busy, and that's what keeps us going, isn't it? I'm so thankful that I'm well enough to be busy again. Thank you so much for watching, and go make you some homemade applesauce, okay? Bye. God bless.